Dallas, at Philadelphia, obviously a massive divisional game. This feels like this could be the one that a lot of people are penciling in and targeting for those heavy stacks for that sort of tournament lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the one which your eyes get drawn to it straight away. It's one of the higher over-unders of the slate, and it's not a particularly pretty slate. You look at what the Eagles do defensively. They allow the most wide receiver points per game, 46.5. The next nearest team is 42 points per game, so it's a big leap. They just haven't been able to stop players like they were last year. Last year, they were just stomping teams, and now their secondary just isn't capable of it at the minute. I think that CeeDee Lamb is absolutely set up for another big game. What we saw from him over the last couple of weeks has been fantastic. It's the kind of performances we wanted to see. He's been averaging 65 yards per game in his career against Philadelphia, but now this Eagles secondary allowing 91.4 yards per game to wide receiver ones. Lamb had 44 points last week, caught 12 of 14 targets, 158 yards, touchdown. The week before that, he was 7 of 7, caught every single target that week, and had 117 yards. So he seems to have kind of turned the corner slightly. I'd have every confidence in starting him. I think if you're looking for another wide receiver from the Cowboys, I'd be more tempted to start Michael Gallup than Brandon Cooks. It feels like that outside matchup is the one we want to be targeting. And then I like starting Jake Ferguson as well. The Eagles allowed fourth highest catch rate to opposing tight ends, allowed fourth most touchdowns to the position at 0.5 per game. And we saw Ferguson last week of perfect 4 for 4, 47 yards and a touchdown. He was on the field constantly. I think he ran a route on 85% of dropbacks. So I like him. Tony Pollard, man, I mean, this one hurts. Like, Tony Pollard was so fun last year, but his efficiency is just way down. You can see on the screen, 3.9 yards per carry versus 5.3 in 2022. They're running him up the gut more often, which isn't what you want to do with a player like Tony Pollard. You want to be bouncing him outside, letting him get that kind of speed under him. And then on the Eagles side, I mean, you just kind of start everyone, despite this being a tough matchup. Devonta Smith last week at 7 for 99 and a touchdown, first 20-point game since week 2. The Cowboys, they rank 4th best in DVOA versus wide receiver 1s, but 11th best versus wide receiver 2s. So their weakness is more the kind of Devonta Smith area of the game. AJ Brown, you're not benching a guy who's just put up 700 yards and 5 touchdowns in a month. And Dallas Goedert, I don't know, man. Like, I've got Dallas Goedert on my home team, and it's not been pretty. 2 top 12 performances all season. But when he gets going in this offense, it's going to be good, you'd imagine. He just seems to be not clicking quite the same way he did last year. And then lastly, in terms of the running backs, and you absolutely start DeAndre Swift. Gainwell had that red zone fumble last week, and then Nick Sirianni this week made a point of referring to Kenneth Gainwell as being the team's RB2. It's all set up for Swift, who, you know, isn't always looking incredible, but is doing more than enough to be your RB2 on an average team. So, yeah, pretty explosive one on paper. Hopefully it lives up to that.
Yeah, I think in your managed leagues, it's about trying to get as many of these guys in the lineup as possible. I think that over under could potentially get exciting and hopefully tick that over. I think the thing I wanted to touch on was the Dallas Cowboys' usage of their wide receivers. We've seen CeeDee Lamb throughout his career in Dallas be used heavily out of the slot as that kind of movable piece to get favorable matchups and be a high target volume. The last couple of weeks, that's changed. You know, this last week he saw the highest number of snaps out wide that he has so far this season. He is morphing into a true X receiver that's still going to get some slot snaps, still going to get that high volume touches and, you know, option routes and force the ball down the seam. But he's being used outside, downfield, which is only going to be a good thing for his fantasy value. It does mean that Michael Gallup's natural role in the offense as that ex-outside receiver is kind of dissipating. And I do wonder if we're going to maybe start to see someone like Jalen Tolbert. He had a season-high snap share last week. Is he going to start to get on the field and use that speed as another option? But, yeah, CeeDee Lamb, I think it's wheels up, and I think that he could have a phenomenal back end of the year this year. and potentially be a league winner for people that invested that back end first round pick that in those redraft leagues we were hoping to. If you are watching this on record, not live, you can still get your questions in. Tom and I work through every single comment we receive. We will answer 100% of your questions, whether it be start sits, trade questions, dynasty questions, whatever you want, get them in. Tom and I will answer them.